Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. This is the Interstate Commission for EMS Personnel Practice. This is our executive committee, our regular scheduled meeting for Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. So go ahead and call it to order, and I will recognize Commissioner House, our secretary, for roll call.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just going down through here. Chairman Craig Kenny.
Present.
Vice Chair Wayne Denny.
Present.
Treasurer Brad Vandeloon.
Present.
Member at Large Aaron Kaler.
Present.
Immediate Past Chair Joe Schmieder.
Present.
And Secretary Joe House present as well. All present and accounted for, Mr. Chair.
Great. Thank you. That's good for July. Have all of us here. I also see we have a number of other commissioners and guests on the call. Thank you. Welcome. We always appreciate you having you to our meetings. Public attendance is encouraged. We do encourage you to also mute your microphones in the event that there is background noise or disruptive behavior. Our executive director is authorized to mute you or take other action as appropriate. If there are comments when comment periods open up, recommend using the raise hand feature. I will recognize that and I will call on you, and you will have 2 minutes to speak on a topic. We usually start with the executive committee itself and then any commissioners and then any public comment on the matters that we have. So with that, we did have a posted agenda. It has been up. It has been distributed to the executive committee and all commissioners. And at this point, we will open it to any public comments related to matters that we will not be discussing that's not on the agenda. If anyone has any of those, please use the raise hand feature and I will recognize you. Okay, with that, we will move on to the old business, June 2025 meeting summary, Secretary House.
Thank you again. And a big thanks to Donnie for getting that organized, put together, and out to all of us. So it is out there, reviewed it, looks good. Happy to make a motion to accept.
Motion to accept. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Kaler, I believe, with the second. And any further discussion on this? Any objections to adopting from the executive committee? We will show that meeting summary as accepted, and Donnie may distribute or post as appropriate. We did form up a new committee, and I have made some designations there, and we're still working on a couple of them, but they have meetings, and that is going to be our criminal conviction committee. And we have the chairperson on today, which is Commissioner Jones. And Commissioner Jones, I didn't know if you want to add anything at this point, or Donnie has an update on that.
Yep, just that we're excited to get this going and looking forward to doing some great work with the committee.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That was a little bit of a correction during one meeting. I had also accidentally designated a second chairperson, forgetting that I had designated one at our in-person meeting. And so Commissioner Jones is the actual chairperson of that committee. Donnie, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just recognizing we have a lot of visitors and stakeholders on the call. Just a quick overview so people know what that committee is. We formed a committee to look at recognizing state sovereignty, carefully balancing state sovereignty, where states have the both the obligation and the opportunity to review things such as criminal convictions and morality issues and things in an individual's past through the lens of public protection. We recognize that across the nation, states have different perspectives and different views on that, which is totally acceptable. But as a group of states, we recognize it might be helpful if we provided, through the work of a committee, some type of a document that might help commissioners and state officials look at, say, for instance, a conviction of theft of property. to that person be an EMS clinician? And if so, does it matter how long ago that theft was or the amount of the theft? If someone's been rehabbed. And so the purpose of this committee is to really dive into that and produce a non-binding guidance document that would help states and help with transparency. So just for those on the call, because many may not know what the committee is, I just wanted to provide that update. So
Thank you. If anyone has any feedback on that, reach out to Donnie, Commissioner Jones, or myself. We'll be glad to connect you to the people on that committee. Once we get the full committee, then we will go ahead and name everyone. We have most of the members in place right now, but looking forward to good work from that. So thank you for agreeing to serve. With that, we will move on to our reports, and we'll start with Commissioner Vandaloon with the Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenny. The previous balance from 6/1 of the treasurer's report is $106,637. We had debits in the amount of $6,425, travel reimbursement for $7,134.33, another debit for $6,425, bringing the pending balance to $86,652.67 as of July 1st. Any questions?
The only thing I would clarify, because I know we follow it closely, that's pretty much in the range of what you expected at this point. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for our secretary? Excuse me, our treasurer. Okay, we will go ahead and accept that report, and we will move on to the chair's report. I do not have a lot. I know Donnie has some updates still active, several states moving around. I think that's a positive thing. We do have a few of the potential rulemaking that Joe is looking at, and I think that is going to be a positive to address some of the challenges that we have. I should clarify Joe Schmieder's committee bylaws. And I think we're making progress there. We do have a quarterly meeting coming up in August, and that will be a good information meeting. Right now, we did not timely submit any rules or bylaws changes for that committee, as we'll discuss later. But the momentum still seems good. It is also kind of heavy travel season, so you'll hear from Donnie doing a fair amount of travel. He represents us well, getting out and about, and I think that's positive, as well as also, besides just the conferences, visiting some state offices for education sessions, which are very well received. We hosted one in Indiana, and as we talked about before the recording started, it's interesting because when I had him in Indiana, my own staff was asking questions. I'm like, I know I told you that about 10 times already, but they want to hear it from, the expert. And so it sometimes helps to have Donnie in. But with that, I will go ahead and wrap up my report, and we'll move on to the Stakeholder Advisory Committee report with Commissioner Kaler.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We had a great meeting on June 18th. And as always, I'm very thankful we had our executive director, Donnie Woodyard, online with us for that meeting. He's able to provide the committee with updates. And one of those updates we talked about was the Criminal Conviction Committee and starting that up, as well as our disqualifications for privileged practice rules. One of the questions that was asked is if the commissions was aware that other compacts had these restrictions already in place, and to see if we could examine some of those, so that way we're not reinventing the wheel. Donnie let them know that we are well aware, and we were taking those into consideration as we move forward. We also had a comment about how the EMS compact was the second oldest compact in the United States. That was actually something I learned, so that was very interesting. We also asked if we could include some of the compact's victories to show some of the progress that we're making, and Donnie provided a couple of examples for that, as well as for some, we asked for examples of for where it's probably details of de-identified, of course, examples of some of the issues that the compact has been able to resolve. Donnie did a great job of providing a couple updates for those. And lastly, we had a discussion about considering international criminal background checks and the potential for a position paper for us to be able to address a lot of the fighters that are coming into the United States from other countries. And that wraps up my report. Any stamp questions?
Thank you. And I was on for most of that until I had a power outage. I was working from home, but it was a good meeting and well attended. Any questions from Commissioner Kaler? Okay, thank you. We'll turn over to our Executive Director, Donnie, for his update.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And just a quick small clarification on Commissioner Kaler's report. Our compact is the second oldest occupational licensure compact for healthcare. There are other compacts, non-healthcare licensure. But needless to say, we helped forge the way, and now there's 17 occupational health and licensure compacts out there. So that was good to talk about during that meeting. For my update, the compact is apparently heavily being used. We're getting a lot of phone calls for customer support, for agency support, for state-to-state transfers, and it's a very active season right now. And I'm pleased to report that in most cases, it's working very, very seamlessly. We have an uptick of agencies who are now comfortable using the compact. Anytime an individual encounters an issue, be it with the agency or someone in the state, I'm very happy to provide that technical assistance. And that's been received very, very well across the 25 states. So I just want to highlight that. I continue to hear both validated stories of where EMS compact practitioners really mean the difference between an agency remaining open versus an agency closing. And so it is making a difference. One of the very first things under the purpose statement of the EMS compact is to increase access to qualified EMS personnel in the United States. And that is happening. We have wildland fire season that's up, and we have EMS compact personnel that are being dispatched out and called upon for wildland fire. I'm very pleased that a number of the wildland fire contractors are seeking to ensure that they are in compliance with the requirements of the compact, and especially making sure that there's an EMS agency in the receiving state that the individual is attached to. And so that remains one of the most common questions I get is related to independent practice. The compact does not permit independent practice. You must always be affiliated with an EMS agency in the remote state. Continue to work on just some misinformation that continues to be out there, in particular related to public protection. We know that states across the United States, the compact has made it very clear that every state should require and utilize an FBI biometric compliant criminal history background check. And the purpose of that is so that the state official can have primary source information and make licensure determinations. We also know, however, that apart from criminal convictions, individuals in every medical profession can have licensed discipline that happens. We know that licensed discipline happens frequently across the United States. That's part of protecting the public. Outside of the compact, there is no good way for states to share and get that information. There's no good way that states can get notified instantly. Under the EMS compact, when one state takes a licensed discipline action, any other state where that individual is licensed is notified immediately, and it's also added to the coordinated database. And that is a huge advantage for the EMS compact. So we continue to work on that. A couple final updates is we continue to work with our federal partners on what we hope is an upgrade to the coordinated database, what I would call the coordinated database generation 2 or next gen coordinated database. We do have proposals in for this. We do have some RFPs that's been generated for this with our technology partner at the National Registry and with more of our federal partners. And so I will keep everyone updated as I hear back from those. I continue to do a push on social media, both under our official brand and also me as an individual on raising awareness about the value of the EMS compact and really the goal of having all 50 states participate in this. The final thing I would raise awareness of the EC for is last week did a very thorough analysis of every state that has passed the EMS compact. And I went back and pulled the legislative records and for all 25 states calculated the votes, individual elected official votes in both the House and the Senate. And across all 25 states, there's been over 3,100 votes cast. And of those, less than 62 votes were a no. So over 3,100 elected officials, 62 no votes. And of those no votes, there were a couple of the bills that were omnibus bills where everything in the record indicated that the no vote, at least in one of those states, had nothing to do with the compact, other parts of the omnibus bill. That to say, 98% yes vote across 25 states is simply one of the strongest bipartisan bills for EMS ever introduced in the United States. With that, I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you for the thorough report. Any questions for our executive director? Okay, not seeing any. Last of the reports, I will recognize Ray Mollers for the National EMS Coordinated Database Update.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. And I know Donnie sent it out. I reformatted the report, a little different format. Really, the only thing to note on it is that there are 6 of the 8 states that aren't currently reporting to the NIMSGID, the coordinated database. 4 of those could be inputting their licensure data at any time. Arkansas could be any time. South Dakota's been working on it a while. Tennessee's been working on it the longest. I'm not sure if it's contractual that's holding it up, but hopefully they'll be turned on soon. And then Delaware's been reporting for quite a while, the BLS. We're just hoping to turn on their paramedics soon. Good news with Indiana, ACADIS is starting to have more discussion, and hopefully we can get them at least testing soon. And then Nebraska, we've been working with them for a little while on getting those that they have EMS ID numbers for, at least getting entered into the QA to do testing. Still no path forward for Oklahoma or Pennsylvania, but barring any questions, that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Ray. And on the Indiana front, I will also compliment, I guess, sort of compliment myself and our executive director, Donnie. We have both, ACADIS is looking at making themselves more marketable to the states. NASIMSO played a role. Dia and Andy encouraged them. If they wanted to reach out to states that, hey, Indiana is the state they're going to ask about it because we use it. And so they pretty much have said they agreed with my hard push that it's a non-negotiable, for future states. You either have to get this data going, and it sounds like they should be turning that on soon, but it has been a group effort, and hopefully we will have positive results coming up this fall.
Thank you.
Any questions? Yeah. Any questions for Ray? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. The new business that we have, the first one is disqualification of privilege to practice rule. Commissioner Schmieder or Donnie?
So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today, as always. We we are developing some draft language. We have not, Donnie, as far as I can tell, we haven't set a date yet for a meeting for the bylaws committee to get back together again. But we have some language we're starting to draft and come in consensus with that we can take to the committee. And I think listening to Commissioner Jones speak, we probably need to do a little bit hand in glove there so they understand what we're doing here. My gut tells me we probably won't meet till September, maybe the end of July or early August. It depends. I know that I will be leaving on the 20th, right after our meeting, to go to Portugal for 2.5 weeks. So I would love to jump on a line with y'all and talk, but I'm probably not going to do that. So I'll probably push it off until the end of September, but we're making some good progress, and I think it'll be an easy flow once we get started. Donnie, did I miss anything?
No, sir, I think you captured it.
Thank you.
You know, I say that, maybe we should just clarify the concept rule that we're working on would clarify if there are things in an individual's background, not just criminal, but in general, that would disqualify them from a compact privilege to practice. So that's the scope of the rule for visitors online.
And I think it's worth saying, Donnie, that it still doesn't prevent someone from getting individual state certification, go forth and conquer, but there are certain things that probably nobody wants. And so let's just say that right up front. And let me just talk from the state of Texas. We call them the 42A crimes. There's 7 crimes like murder and stuff like that you can never be licensed by the state of Texas. Not to say that maybe some other state will license you, but something in that nature, just to put us all on level fields. And it will be a bylaw change, so there'll be discussion once the committee's on the same page. Then we take it to the whole body and get their support. Thank you, sir. That's all I have today.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. The last new business item we have is new business on this agenda, but has been going on a little bit. We have a good opportunity with the compact. Our executive director, Donnie Woodyard, had been working on a project prior to his role and has a book on the EMS compact. And it is a guidance, a reference tool that would be out there. And we had entered into an executive session at our in-person meeting in Grand Rapids to get feedback for how to address the appearance of a conflict of interest given his current role. And so taking that very strong consensus from that executive session, we were able to reach the contract agreement between I negotiated. I want to thank Doug and Christy from PWW. They were very influential, and of course, Donnie himself. And then the executive committee has weighed in. We have had a number of meetings. And so we do have the contract amendment addressing that issue. What we hope is the final version up for adoption today and was distributed. And so with that, the intent would be for the executive committee to go ahead and approve this one. I've confirmed with Doug, there's no restrictions on whether this has to go to full commission or executive committee. But because we had strong consensus following the in-person meeting, I am inclined to move it forward if we have a motion to enter into that contract amendment.
Mr. Chair, this is Joe House. I would move to enter into that contract amendment.
Thank you, Commissioner House. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner Denny with the second on the contract amendment. Any of the exec committee, I know you've been heavily involved with me in this. I want to give you an opportunity. Any comments or clarifications you would like to add at this time?
Mr. Chairman, Joe Schmieder, Texas. The only thing I would say is thank you, Donnie, for doing this. This book will help educate the system and the commissioners and the nation on the purpose of the compact, how we got here, and where we're hopefully to go with it. So something we've been asking for a long time, and we finally have a good tool. So thank you so much. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. We have several commissioners on here. If there is a commissioner that would like to ask any further questions on that or any comments, if you'd like to use the raise hand feature. If anyone from the public has any questions or comments, you can also use the raise hand, and I will recognize the commissioners first and then any public. Okay. Given that we have had time, we have a motion, we have a second. Is there any of the exec committee that is opposed or wish to abstain from the vote approving the contract amendment? Okay, we will show that it is approved and authorized, and we will get that executed. Again, thank you to Donnie for working with us on this valuable tool. Thank you to Exec Committee for your guidance, assistance. Thanks to all the commissioners that have weighed in. Appreciate your support. And finally, thank you to Council for their delicate work on this matter. It took a little while to get here, this positive resolution, and we will be able to see the book being published hopefully soon. Anything you'd like to add to that, Donnie?
Yeah, just thank you for everyone for that. Really hope that this helps to raise awareness of the compact and answer questions and help the EMS community move forward. And and I guess just for anyone on the call, this will be available at a very, very low cost. It's a it's a very low cost product that will be out there, very close to at cost to ensure that it's accessible. But thank you, everyone. And I will be collecting any input over the next couple of weeks. I do hope to wrap this project up by August to get a segment out there soon.
Thank you. Next up, we have partner updates. And I was going through, I see at least Dia on. Dia, anything you would like to add from the NASIMSO perspective?
Not at this time, Mr. Chairman, other than profuse thanks to the magnificent working relationship with your executive director.
Thank you. He speaks highly of you as well when we have meetings. So appreciate the work NASIMSO does as well as what Donnie's doing on our behalf. Any other federal partners or other associations or updates the individuals like to give, please use the raise hand feature. Yes, Jay Scott, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the time and the invitation to be here. I appreciate it. As you know, we're working hard to have our accredited education providers report course completions to our database in real time. And so I'm happy to report that in the last quarter, more than 97% of the course completions that we've got in have come in as soon as the course was done, which has led us to some other pretty interesting data. And that more than 95% of those course completion records have come in that are shared with the National Registry, also shared with the NEMSID number attached to it. And so having that NEMSID number attached helps. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Good. Helps the individuals get their course completions done and helps them recertify. We've also, as you get more records, you also come up with greater opportunities for people to do things that aren't kosher. And we've had a couple interesting cases of fraud in the last month, one of which was an organization that is using our accreditation statement and logo on their website to advertise CAPCI accreditation, which is not true. We've shared that information with the National Registry, with the individual states via NSEMSO, to let you know when you see certificates from these folks, they're not actually accredited course completion certificates. We also had a case where an individual had submitted an obviously doctored course completion certificate within the state of Florida for the purposes of gaining employment. And when the employer contacted us with a copy of the certificate, there were a number of things that stood out as being odd. In fact, that the course number was assigned to a half-hour course where the course completion certificate was for 20 hours. It was a CVO instructor course. That particular provider listed on the course completion certificate does not offer CVO training. And there were a number of other things that were wrong with the certificate. And so we were able to gather enough data about the case to send it off to the state of Florida for action. They have decided to move forward. I did some testimony yesterday and expect to testify again on the case. Interestingly enough, when you look at our database, you can see course completion records from other courses, and you can see where people are working because their address, their phone number and such is attached to that course completion certificate. And since this case came up, the individual has moved to Colorado and is currently working in Colorado Springs. So also information we're able to share with the state and let them know that we know for sure that there's an action in process from one state. And we asked the state of Florida to share that with the state of Colorado. So as we get things like that, we feel both moral obligation and a legal obligation to let the states know and let the National Registry know when there are irregularities and things that stand out as being wrong, and individuals trying to gain licensure through the purposes that aren't what we would all consider legal and acceptable. So we will continue to do those things. And if there's any other process, any other things you'd like us to consider doing, if there's any other specific, notifications you'd like us to give, please think about those things and please let me know. And as cases like this come up, we'll continue to let the states and the registry know that those things have happened, and then we'll gather whatever data and share that data with the state or with the registry, as possible.
Thank you, Jay, and we appreciate you being on in that report. While I find it sad, I wish I could say it's surprising, but dealing in state certifications, these things unfortunately happen. It's good that we are on top, though, and we are catching these things. Commissioner Schmieder.
Yeah, good noon. And Jay, I don't know if I spoke to you or not. This is a couple months ago. There's a loophole in our system, both of our systems, and people are figuring it out. So if I sign up to take a course and I cheat on that class, I get thrown out of that class. You haven't certified them and I haven't certified them, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I don't know how, or if anyone has any suggestions on how we do that, because we don't own them, you don't own them. But it is a loophole that I've seen a couple times now. And the education program finds out they cheated on whatever hours, they get thrown out of the class, and they turn around, take a class someplace else. And they may ask the question, have you ever been thrown out or not? But it's a loophole, and the system's pretty smart. Some of the people are pretty smart in figuring it out. So I just wanted to put it back on the table.
We have actually even gotten people that apply for accreditation for a program for the sake of gaining accreditation. And then they feel that if they gain CAPCI accreditation, that gives them the right to teach in whatever state that they're in. Yeah. And we asked those questions up front. And I said, if you're doing this specifically to gain teaching credentials, you're going down the wrong pathway. And if you want to gain teaching, if you want to be a teacher, if you want to teach EMS clinicians, go through your state office. The pathway to gain clinical acceptance for the ability to teach is not through gaining CAPC accreditation. And we also do occasionally get those people that have moved from state to state or service to service because they've done something wrong and they feel they need to move instead of owning up.
Sure.
People work so much harder to get out of doing their job than they would work if they just did their job. So
Yeah.
we always say, just do your job, do it the right way, do it well. Don't try and cheat the system because inevitably you're going to be caught. Might not be today, might not be tomorrow, but eventually you're going to get caught. And then, the consequences are pretty severe.
Yeah, and I just raise it just to keep it on people's radar because it is and I don't know how we fix it. I really don't, but I just wanted to at least mention it.
Donnie.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Jay, your report reminded me of the value of primary source validation. And I should have mentioned this in my report, but we have an update to our website that I'm sharing right now. And as I go down to validate a privilege to practice, I put my EMS ID number in there. And you can see 2 compact states that are reporting to the coordinated database. But I want to highlight that with our technology partner, National Registry, we have added the state license status here. And this is whatever is being reported by the state. And so Colorado recently had a case that was on the news of an individual who used to be a paramedic and got convicted of some serious felonies, went to prison for a number of times, came out, recovered his PDF documents of his licenses, used an editing software, updated that, and got an employment job. So for our partners on the phone and on the call, primary source digital validation on the compact website or directly on the state website is the absolute minimum that should happen. That's why we provide it here. You can see all the information, and it looks like I got to get my renewals ready for next year. Susan and Mike, I'll make sure I do that. But grateful for Registry's help on updating this. This is a powerful tool that employers and the public need to be using.
Thank you, Donnie. Any further questions or comments on that or any other updates? Okay, we are wrapping up our meeting. We have future executive committee is on August 13th. A week later on August 20th, we'll have the full commission meeting. That's a virtual one. And so look for the agenda again right now. It is mostly going to be information and reports, but that will be a good meeting. It will start to set the tone for what is going to come up for the fourth quarter. Full commission meeting will be a little bit business heavy, and so we'll start having updates on that. As always, I thank the exec committee for being on. I thank our council for being on, and I thank all the commissioners that are on, and thank all of the public and other partners. Appreciate everyone being on. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion.
Okay, we got 2 people there. So we'll go ahead and show adjourned. Thank you everyone for being on. Have a great week.
Thanks,
Have
everyone.
a great vacation, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, guy.